The Bible said the serpent entered the Garden of Eden. He met Eve. Know that at that time, Eve was not the fallen Eve. He was still the Eve created from the originality of God. He was the Eve that was brought out of the rib of Adam. So she was a superwoman. She could understand the language of trees. She could understand the language of animals. And she could understand the language of objects around her. The environment could speak to Eve, and Eve could reply to the environment. The atmosphere could converse with Eve, because at that time she was not fallen, so she was having the ability to understand her atmosphere, animals, different creatures, the fish, the birds. Ask yourself, how do Adam do a naming ceremony for the birds in the air? How was the naming ceremony done under the sea? How did he name them? So at that time, man could speak to animals and animals could speak back to man. They understand each other's language. They could hear each other. So when the snake entered the garden, the snake didn't speak English. The snake didn't speak your local dialect. So stop imagining maybe the snake opened them up and said, has the Lord asked you not to eat from this fruit? Your imagination may be wrong. You realize that snakes remove, they remove their tongues. For all you know, I'm not saying that is it, but for all you know, it was just the removing in and out of the tongue of the snake. That was the speech of the snake. Because Eve could discern what the snake is saying at that time. She could hear the voice of the snake. And the snake too could hear the voice of the woman. Why? Because they haven't fallen. But immediately they fell. Immediately they fell. They lose the ability to hear animals, to understand trees. In the realm of God, there's no non-living thing. In God's realm, there's nothing like non-living thing. That is why Jesus spoke to the tree and the tree withered. Because the tree heard the man spoke. The tree heard the man what? Spoke. He spoke to the wind, peace, be still, and the wind stopped. Why? Because the wind heard the man spoke. In the realm of the spirit, everything is living, everything understands, everything hears, and everything can reply you when you speak. Was it not Pastor Chris Oyakolomi who was on his way for a program? He was late for that program. So he was asking some people in his house. He said, get me pen. And they were looking for pen, and they couldn't get pen. They were trying to search, and he was late. So he looked at the table and said, get me pen. And the pen appeared on the table, and he picked the pen. The table is not non-living. In your realm, that table is non-living. But in another man's realm, that table is living. So I have the ability to speak to this table and say, come. And you see the table walking from wherever it is to where I am. You may think that it is magic. It's not magic. The table hears. Sometimes you need to switch dimensions. You need to switch realms to be able to operate in some possibilities. To tap into some possibilities, dimensions must change. Because they can't hear you in your realm. You have to go to their realm for them to understand you. There are people that understand the language of snakes, the language of dogs, the language of animals. Do you know that those who train dogs, they will train the dog to understand the dog, understand whatever the person say. Hear me well. It is not the man who enters the dog realm. It is the dog that enters the man realm. He can say sit, and the dog will sit. Go to your house and tell your dog sit. He will run away. He will do the tail like that and run away. Because as you say sit, the dog is actually thinking that you say, I will kill you. He don't understand your language. But another man can train the dog to understand that dog understand the language of that man. So when the man says sit, the dog sit. He say, hey, bring it. The dog. Do you know that there are dogs that calculate mass? They know how to calculate numbers. There are dogs that can play game with their owners, their masters. It's only your village dog that eat fishes. Yeah, they have not been schooled. And because they've not been schooled, they don't understand some things. So people have a way of bringing the dog from the dog realm to the realm of man. That dog will not sit anyhow. That dog understand language. That dog, when the owner is crying, they get emotional. Now, they are not living in the realm of man. But there are some people, they understand the language of dog. When the dog begin to bark, they hear what the dog is saying. Why? Because they are in the realm of the dog. So which means they are now in that dog realm. The dog is not in their realm. So sometimes you need to switch dimensions, switch levels to be able to understand or to tap into some possibilities in life. So the realm that Eve was operating was not a normal realm. It was a supernatural realm. That's why she understood the language of the snake. So the snake didn't open their mouth because snakes remove their tongues. It could be that in their realm, that's how they communicate. Have you ever asked yourself, how do snakes communicate? What of a sheep? A sheep can bleat here, and then the child of the sheep will bleat at that traffic light. It will bleat again. It will bleat. The child will bleat. The mother will bleat. The child will bleat. The mother will bleat. The child will bleat. And they will run to each other. And immediately they meet each other, the bleating stop. Ask yourself, were they just bleating for bleating's sake? No, they were calling each other names. Say, Michael. They say, yes, I'm here. In your realm, they are making noise. In their realm, they are calling for each other. You see a cow doing moo. Another one will respond there. Moo. Another one will respond there. Moo. You see a donkey. They are not making noise, they are communicating. You just need to tap into their realm to understand them. So it got to a time Jesus said, why do these people don't understand me? Is it that they don't understand what I'm saying? They were not in Jesus' realm to understand whatever he was saying.